Hello and welcome to a brief overview of the Money Ledger program Canadian Truckers up to 10 trucks, 1 input tax and personal. In this video you'll see how you can easily keep track of all your trucking income and expenses for up to 10 trucks, your 1 input tax and your personal items with this ledger. Let's take a brief look at the screens and enter some transactions. The screen you're looking at now is the monthly screen. At the top left you can see that it's January, and at the bottom you can see there's one tab for every month. On the left side of the screen is where you make all of your income and expense entries. Then on the right side of the screen there are two summary statements that are being automatically populated as you make your entries. The first summary statement is an overall summary showing the total for truck, input taxes, and any personal items. The next summary statement is strictly a truck summary only, showing each individual truck, income and expenses, general truck, and your input taxes. When you scroll down below, you can see that there's an items for net income and outstanding receivables. Below the general summary statement, you have an input tax summary showing how much you've collected, paid, and what your net balance is for the month. Then underneath that we have our payment types along with our totals for the month, so you know how much you've spent on each type of payments type. There's a transfer between accounts summary, receivables, and there's also a reconciliation report, which is a handy little report to use to reconcile against your paper statements when you get them in the mail, and we'll show you that in a minute. Okay, the next screen is the setup screen. Now in the setup screen you have a center section, which is all your expense category names, which you can set up any way you like. To the left of that there's another column called items to appear in general truck financial statement. So for any expense item that is actually a truck related expense, you want to make sure that you have it checked with a check mark. For other items that are personal in nature, such as health and beauty for example, you can uncheck it and that item will not show up in your trucking financial statement but only under your personal or combined ones. To the right of the expense categories column, we have two other columns for split percentages. So for example, if you have an item that is partially business and partially personal, such as let's say a business related vehicle, if that vehicle is being used 30% for trucking and 70% personal, you can put in your ratios, and then when there's an expense, related expense, you can choose split when you make your entry and it'll automatically do the math for you, and we'll show you that in a minute. The same with home office expenses. If you have a home office space and you want to include your heat bill is 10% trucking or 90% personal, you can set up your ratios any way you like and it'll do the math for you. Top left you can put in the start of your financial year, and you can then copy the program and use it one year after another. Below here you can put in the names of all your trucks or pieces of equipment. Below that you can put in the names of your accounts that you're using for credit cards, bank accounts, and so on. And then below that you put in the name of your default input tax. So if it's GST, HST, VAT, whatever you're using, you put the name in with the tax rate. If there's a secondary tax that you use from time to time, you can put that there. Further down, you can choose the first month of your financial year, and then choose submit, and the program gets set up for you. On the right side, there's pre-written descriptions. So in this case, you could, when you do your entries, rather than entering in your descriptions manually, you can take the most common ones, put them in this list, and then just choose them when you make your entry, and we'll show you that in a minute. Okay, once you've got your setup screen done, you just click save, and then next time you open it you'll be good to go. And finally we have a year-to-date screen, and here it automatically populates all the year-to-date summaries. We have a general one, and then we have an overall one showing each truck separately, and then we have 4 quarterly reports, and you can see it just scrolling across. Below each of these reports we have a few more summaries. There's a quarterly input tax summary, how much you've collected, paid, net balance, and also the balance to remit. And in the yellow squares you can actually put in the amounts that you actually paid or received from your remittances. We also have quarterly payment type summaries, transfers, and receivables for each quarter. And here we also have it for year to date. Okay, let's do a few entries. 11th of January, and we have something for savings. Now let's say it's for truck number 1, and let's say it's income, and we can say income. We can choose our pre-written description if you like, or you can say load revenue and just type it in manually. You can put in the amount, And if there's tax, you could either choose the tax, it'll calculate it for you, or you can simply enter in the tax amount manually, and that works as well. Let's just set that back to GST. Okay, the entry is done. Let's do another entry. 8th of January. Let's say this is a Visa entry, and let's say this one is split. So we have an automotive gas and oil expense, and we have SO fuel, and it's actually for a pickup, so we can edit that up top on the formula bar. And then we put in the amount, if there's GST, and we're done that entry. And finally we have another entry, let's say 13th January, and it's a MasterCard, and let's say it's a general truck expense, and we have something for accounting, legal fees, and let's just say bookkeeping services for income tax, whatever you like to put in there, or you can choose it off the list. And it's 125, and there's GST on that. Okay, so we're done our entries, and we just continue doing our entries just that way. And if we go to the right, you can see our summary statements are populating. The overall summary, we have our total, income, input tax, then we have all our expenses listed here, and you can see that the automotive expense was a split entry, and it took that $56 and split that between trucking and personal exactly according to those ratios, and even figured out your GST that you can claim back. That's all automatic. You scroll down, you can see that there's the net income. You can see that you've collected $100 in input tax, you paid $675, so there's $93.25 left to remit. And then we have our summaries, and you can also see there's 3 items to reconcile with that total dollar value. We then have our detailed summary. You can see that it's populating truck 1, general truck, input tax, exactly the way the entries were done. Okay, so now that we've done our entries, we can then do our reconciliations. So what we do is once you get your paper statements in the mail, you can go through them and just simply check off the ones that you find on your paper statement. Yeah, got that one. I see that one. And once you've got them all reconciled, you can go down and see that all the entries are accounted for. And so there's 0 under the reconciliation report. Okay, other than that, you can sort all the entries by date. You can print with these handy print buttons, and that's really all there's to it. Hope you found the video helpful. Thanks for tuning in.